I'm in and out of another committee. But I have two questions I wanted to ask. I thought about it before I came here, three actually, but I'll just ask the two of them. The first one is on just transition for low-income farmers, and I know other deputies have mentioned it, but I was looking at the Teagasc survey for last year for farmer income, and there's a surprisingly high level of economic vulnerability, 30% among farmers. It's surprisingly high, and the figures are quite startling. Something like 35% of those earned less than 10,000 a year in that year, and 21% reported an income between 10 and 20,000. So if we are to work in according, and let's go back to the recommendations of this committee, of the committee for the Citizens' Assembly on Climate Change, there's an ancillary recommendation, number 3, that says the agricultural sector requires ongoing support to make a transition towards models of production which give rise to lower greenhouse gas emissions, and cognizance must be taken of the impact the sector has on the economy, and particularly the rural economy. So I really wanted to ask you if you've done a sort of an audit on the negative outcomes that might follow a transition in the lower income brackets of farm producers in agriculture, because I do think a lot of supports are going to be needed. But I just another question that's kind of come into my head just in the last few minutes about carbon footprints. Can we get a scale of the level of carbon footprints that come from, as against the cohort I've just spoken about, what it compares to from the cohort who are the multimillionaire ranchers who produce loads and loads and loads of dairy and loads and loads and loads of beef? Do you have a scale or a measurement that you can give us that compares the very wealthy farmers and the carbon footprint they have to the much more marginalised and smaller lower income farmers? Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see that. My own view is that we produce far too much cattle. And we do that to satisfy the markets of Saudi, China, Egypt, etc. That's been shown with all our exports recently. I think it's obscene, and I don't think it serves the planet anyway well. But as you say, the market dictates, and that's part of the problem with climate change, is that the market dictates, not a sensible approach to production or economics. But my second question then is on, I don't know which one of you is dealing with Caoilte. About a year ago at this committee and the Citizens' Assembly at the beginning of it, the environmental pillar came in here to the committee, and they argued that there needs to be an independent review of Caoilte, and that it needs to be reformed to ensure that the long-standing focus on native trees that create a longer-term benefit for biodiversity and for the climate needs to be part of the policy, and that isn't happening. Mixed native woodlands are being sidelined for the citrus spruce and all of the problems that go with it. So would you agree with the review, and would you hope that an outcome of that review would be to reverse the policy of using the fast-growing cash crop like citrus spruce, trying to eliminate it for the benefit of the longer-term, more I suppose environmentally friendly, ecologically friendly, broadleaf, and also there's a lot to be gained from it. And then on top of that, I agree with the comments that were made about looking at alternative crops like hemp, which absorbs carbon. It's a good absorber of carbon, and if you can get over the sort of legal stuff that is connected with the growth of cannabis and actually eliminate that illegality and complications, it can be used for many, from the production of clothes to fences to all sorts of very useful things. But I just want to say that when Deputy Kenny spoke, I recently met, while on holiday, lots of farmers in his area who are very, very concerned about the impact of forestry and Caoilte's policy on the border, the west, the north, that sort of region. It's been really harmed, and the population and the farming community has been really harmed by the overproduction and policies of Caoilte in the area.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple of things. I mean, you mentioned about